Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Northey. I am the owner and the founder of the Yummy Mummy Food Company and the Make More Milk Method Breastfeeding Success Program. Firstly, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this masterclass today. I really do know how hard it is to carve out time for ourselves as mothers, especially when you're a new mother with a baby in tow. Giving time to ourselves is often the hardest thing to do. So, well done for making the time to watch this. I do have a lot of information that I wanted to share with you today. It's all really vital to your own postpartum health and ultimately to your breastfeeding journey. So I will switch the video off in just a second so that we can just read what's on the screen so that you're able to take in the information that I am presenting to you. And I'm sure that you will get a lot out of this information today. And we can then move forward and work out the best plan for you to address your low milk supply or your underlying nutrient depletion issues as part of your postpartum healing journey. So I will just flick this off now and we'll just head over to the slideshow.
Right, we will get started get into all of this masterclass right now, which is all around how to naturally improve your breast milk supply. We're going to look at 3 forgotten postpartum healing strategies that work when nothing else does. So just before we do get into the nitty-gritty information, I did just want to go through what my promise to you from this session is. So by the end of this training, I want to be able to show you how to stop the exhausting pumping and feeding non-stop around the clock regime of struggling to satisfy your growing and hungry baby, so that you can see improvements in your milk supply and the quality of that supply, while at the same time improving your overall health and well-being in every way, whether it's physical, mental, and emotional health, so that you can feed your baby with more ease and confidence while also having the vitality to thrive as a mother. And that's really important. Like, motherhood is busy. We need to be functioning at our very best. You're also going to specifically discover why what you've been doing so far to improve your milk supply doesn't work or hasn't been working as well as you'd like. And instead, I'm going to walk you through what does work. So just imagine being able to skip over all of the Googling and the trial and erroring and just do what works. I know when I learned the information and the method that I'm going to share with you, it just made so much sense to me, and it certainly changed my clients' lives, and I know it can change yours too. But before we sort of dive deeper into some of the more detailed information, I'm hoping you're here because you can relate to some of the following situations. So you're probably here because you're tired of pumping and feeding nonstop around the clock. You could be here because you've fed up with trying all the special lactation cookies and the products and the next magical thing and not seeing any results. You might be here because you're trying to make sure you eat enough calories in your day in the hopes that it increases your milk supply, without really knowing or thinking about whether these calories are unhealthy or healthy calories, and whether they're the best sort for you during this postpartum period of time. So you also might actually be a bit unsure about good nutrition principles that can help you improve your milk supply. And this was a big one for me. You might be feeling like your body is letting both you and your baby down because it's not able to give your baby what they need to thrive. And that's a biggie. And I definitely remember feeling that one in a big way. If you're feeling one or any of these things, though, I just want you to know that it's not your fault. So I've done all of those things too in the past. And so I feel, exactly like you do right now, but know that whatever it is you're doing, and if it's not working, it's not your fault. There really just doesn't seem to be anywhere that teaches how important postpartum nutrition is to a mother's overall health and well-being, as well as to her milk supply. So not in any antenatal classes before you have your baby, nor anywhere else afterwards that I know of, we taught enough about postpartum nutrition. So I know this because, 14 years later, here I am offering this, and I'm busy teaching mums exactly this kind of thing. It's really, really hard to have a successful breastfeeding and postpartum time of healing if nobody is there showing you how to best care for yourself nutritionally during this delicate time. And if you feel anything like I did back then, I know I would have done absolutely anything to overcome low milk supply, except nothing was working for us at all back then, nothing. So what I'm going to share with you today is the fastest and the simplest way to feed your baby with abundance and ease, to be no longer relying on that all-consuming all day and night-long pumping and feeding regimes. You'll learn the fastest and the simplest way to have more time and more energy so that you can mother in the ways that you always imagined you would want to mother and be able to do things with your baby and your family. And that's really important. I want to show you too how to be able to stop doing all what I call all the things in the hopes of finding that next magical something that just works. And I also, and probably the most important thing, I want you to feel that your body is working for you and your baby and not against you both. So just have a quick think for a minute. Which of these best describes why you showed up here today to watch this masterclass? So when I think back to myself at that point in time as a new mother who did struggle with breastfeeding, I actually think I probably felt all of those points. Like I was just looking for help, which at the time didn't exist anywhere. But I've since, studied a lot and learnt a lot to be able to change that for new mothers. But like I said, it was missing, and I'm still feeling that it's missing out there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so busy helping, tens of thousands of mums every year like I have been. So before we go any further, though, I should just more formally introduce myself. Like I said earlier, I'm Kelly. I'm the founder of the Yummy Mummy Food Company and the Make More Milk Method Breastfeeding Success Program. So in a nutshell, I support breastfeeding mothers to overcome low supply so that they can breastfeed with more ease and confidence. First and foremost, I'm a mum. My son's now 14 years old. Yeah, life it goes fast. It goes fast, but I understand that when you're in the throes of new motherhood and breastfeeding isn't working, every day can feel like a month long too, and I remember what that was like. So I have been where you are, and I've struggled with low milk supply. But I now have tools that can actually help people like yourself and like people like how I would have been 14 years ago. So I'm a certified postpartum nutrition professional, and I'm the creator of the Yummy Mummy Food Company lactation support product range, and also of the Make More Milk Method program, where I've had 10 years of experience, more than that really, 12 years now, if I think about it, in formulating nutrient-dense milk-boosting foods and beverages to help mums and to work with them to overcome underlying nutrient depletion issues that can improve their overall health and improve their milk supply at the same time. So I've helped tens of thousands of mothers throughout this, what is a long time of being in business now as the Yummy Mummy Food Company. And that's by I've been helping them to improve their milk supply through nutrient-dense food and beverage products and recipes. So this was me 14 years ago. So I had a very brand new baby and I was struggling to breastfeed him due to my low milk supply. I was desperately trying to do all the things so that we were breastfeeding every 3 hours, and that would take a good 45 minutes. And then my baby would be so upset and distressed that he wasn't getting enough milk. Then I would end up doing top-up feed with formula, which also used to take around another 45 minutes because he actually really hated drinking from bottle. And this used to just be this so distressed that he would even push the bottle out of my hands like quite violently. He just didn't take to the bottle easily. And then I would spend another 45 minutes trying to pump after that. And then it would just be time to begin that whole process over again. So I was doing this regime of all the things day and night long, 24/7. So I actually remember distinctly when this photo was taken, I was actually terribly unwell that day with mastitis, but I didn't even twig that it was mastitis because no one would tell you that. you can have undersupply and still get mastitis too, because we just always assume that mastitis comes with oversupply. So I didn't even twig that this is what was going on. I'd spent 2 days and 2 nights absolutely wide awake the whole time in excruciating pain, with the worst fever I've still ever known. I was still trying to do all the things in the regime, because that's how desperate I was for breastfeeding to work for us. And it's almost like you're made to feel like you're just not trying hard enough, when in fact you are doing all the things, and you're doing probably more than all the things to make it happen. So if I'm being totally honest, not only couldn't I even understand that I was terribly unwell from a mastitis infection, I actually didn't realize what doing this whole all the things regime was doing to my body's nutrient levels, and ultimately also affecting my nervous system and the ability for any of my body to be functioning as it should have been during the postpartum period, let alone produce breast milk. So, and don't even start me on what all that does to your mental health either. So I'm sure you as new mothers understand the sort of torture we mentally put ourselves through around not being able to breastfeed our babies. So I'm sure my story here is something that all of you watching can relate to, and that our stories are probably similar in at least one way or many ways. So in hindsight, knowing what I know now, which is what I'm going to go through in more detail here, I'm sure I was actually doing my own health more harm back then at the time than good, because I thought I was doing all the right things despite nothing really working as it should have been back then for us. So 14 years ago, after I think it was around 8 weeks of trying all the things, I had to give up on my dream of being able to breastfeed my baby. And we then switched to formula feeding, which was another whole story, because it turned out my baby actually had some quite severe allergy and intolerance issues that we had to deal with. And that was explaining why he just didn't take to a bottle of formula very easily. And he was throwing bottles, like pushing bottles out of my hands across the room, quite violently, because he was trying to tell me, and he couldn't, that it wasn't agreeing with his stomach. So we unfortunately had to give up, but it's, if anyone tells you that formula feeding is easier than breastfeeding, it often isn't. And in our case, it definitely was another whole journey on its own, and we had to grapple with all of those allergy type issues as well. So it was a couple of years later, actually, while I was actually researching something about my son's allergies, I stumbled upon these great little things that were 100% healthy pre-baked lactation cookies. And they just immediately appealed to me. I wished more than anything else that I'd been able to try products like these. And after more research, I discovered that it's more like 12 years ago at the time, there was nothing like these cookies available here in Australia. And that's how the Yummy Mummy Food Company was born. So I decided to bring and make available these amazing little nutrient-dense cookies that help a mum's milk supply to Australian mums, so that mums who were struggling like I had something that they could try to help them nutritionally, which in turn would help their milk supply at the same time. So what I did find during the early years of selling these lactation cookies was that while they did work amazingly well for a lot of mums, so every now and then I would, have somebody who was like me and they were trying all the things, they would try these cookies. And, for some mums, they would have an almost instant response and they would work within hours, and I would get text messages saying, wow, this is just how much I've pumped. I can feel that milk is flowing a lot more. It's helped my milk supply. But then I would have some that were still trying and doing all the things and then trying to eat these cookies, and they just wouldn't work quite as well, or not at all still, for some mums. So there was still a missing link there amongst lactation support products. And I just decided I really wanted to work out why, what this missing link was, and why some mums got different responses to other mums. And for me, it became part of my mission as part of the Yummy Mummy Feed Company. Was I wanted to be able to help more mums. There had to be a reason why some things worked better for some mums than others. So I made the decision that I was going to figure out how to help mums increase their milk supply by addressing whatever that missing link was. So that was when I started to study to become a certified postpartum nutrition professional. And that's what's got me to where I am today, 12 years later here in the Yummy Mummy Food Company, where I'm sharing my Make More Milk methodology with my clients so that you can skip over the exhaustion and the overwhelm of doing all the breastfeeding things and the struggle that I went through too, so that you can just get more breast milk, but also to improve your overall health and well-being during this postpartum period as well. So that decision led to figuring out what I'd been doing all those years ago when I was desperately trying to add thing after thing after thing into our regime, hoping that something could work. That's when I figured out that pretty much all of those things I was doing was almost completely wrong. Um, I'm grateful in hindsight that I made that decision to invest in myself and my training, because it is, a huge investment in both time and money to become a professional in the postpartum nutrition field. Otherwise, I would still be seeing a lot of these mums in the Yummy Mummy Food Company who were having such differing responses to things. So basically, like Oprah says, when you know better, you do better. And that's now my hope, that I want to pass on to other breastfeeding mums. So even though I'm now able to help mums breastfeed with more ease and to have better overall health to enjoy their motherhood experience more, it actually did take years to figure all these out and put all of the puzzle pieces together. So I had to question everything that I thought was right for breastfeeding mums to do, because I quickly discovered how missing postpartum nutritional health was in all the ways of caring for new mums during the postpartum period that we're used to here. So I also had to test out different theories to see which ones worked best for my breastfeeding clients and customers. And it took just a lot of time and patience. And there was no way that I could have arrived at the Make More Milk method program without having invested in my professional education and becoming an expert in the postpartum nutrition field. So I was fully committed, because of my own dreadful experience and because I had started the Yummy Mummy Food Company. I was, fully committed to figuring out ways to help more mums better. So I was determined that no other breastfeeding mum should suffer in the way that I did, and also suffer from the long-term health effects that this can have on you too. And that's a really important factor that we often don't know about or don't consider, is that how we heal or not during our postpartum period can affect our long-term health and well-being as women as well. So that's very important. So what I did discover through all of that trial and error process was that it wasn't that mums weren't trying hard enough or long enough. It wasn't that they weren't drinking enough water or weren't trying the medication options like Motilium or domperidone, and that they didn't have the willpower to stick it out despite seeing any results, not seeing any results from doing all the things. So what I discovered was that none of these things were normal or helpful. So I figured out that these mums, as well as how I was myself, in fact, had an underlying nutrient depletion issue. And once I started to address those underlying nutrient depletion issues, everything changed for me in my own health and for the mums that I was helping as well. So I really want to share with you how I did all of that so that you can skip over just years of trial and erroring, which is what I had to go through. So there is a simple way to overcome low milk supply and also to help you with your overall health and well-being so that you can achieve your breastfeeding goals. But also, like I've mentioned already, it's important that your own health and vitality is looked after too, so that you can be the best mum that you can be, possibly. Just before, though, that we jump into the real reason why that round-the-clock feeding and pumping and doing all of the things isn't working for you, I did just want to share this quick case study with you. It's important to see examples of what real breastfeeding success looks like so that you can ground yourself in knowing what's possible for you too. I think that's really important. So this was a client of mine called Annie. Annie was really, really struggling when I first spoke to her. And she actually reminded me of myself at that period of time. She was doing all the breastfeeding things, but nothing had increased her supply, and she was barely able to pump 10 mils in a session. After Annie went through the Make More Milk Method program, though, she was really like a whole new person. It was quite amazing. She and her baby were finally thriving and able to enjoy their time together instead of it being this around the clock struggle. So the picture here is one that she sent me. It was about 3 weeks into the program, and you can see that she was able to pump an absolutely gobsmacking amount by comparison to the 10 mils that she was getting before she started the program. So she was just understandably ecstatic. So what she had said to me was, wowzers, I thought I'd tried everything possible to increase my milk supply and was about to go and buy formula and bottles. But after hearing about the Make More Milk method, I'm so glad I had the chat with Kelly first. I've never even considered that what I was eating or not eating right was the problem all along. But I'm forever grateful to this program that has helped me learn so much about the best foods to eat and how to eat them, so my body could start to use the nutrients in the best way for both myself and my now thriving bub. So, that she was, like I said, she was really ecstatic. So imagine if you could be like Annie. Imagine if you could have an abundance of breast milk to keep up with your baby's ever-changing and growing needs. Imagine if you can achieve your breastfeeding goals of being able to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months or 12 months or whatever your breastfeeding goal is. And perhaps it's that you want to be able to pump more, to be able to create a freezer stash because you need to return to work. All of those things are great breastfeeding goals to have. And it might even be that you're wanting to be able to pump more so that other people can participate in your baby's feeding and care routines as well. And that's a perfectly valid thing to want for your family and for your baby. And imagine if you were able to have more energy to get through, busy motherhood days with less fatigue and overwhelm that comes with that. So, we all know motherhood is busy and we need to be thriving at our best. Imagine if you didn't feel so overwhelmed and tired all the time. And imagine if you could improve your overall health and well-being at the same time as all of this, and give your body what is the best long-term gift you can, and that's of postpartum healing. And we'll get into that in a little bit more detail as well shortly. So, honestly, as a new mother, who doesn't want to achieve all these things without having to be stuck in a nursing chair feeding and feeling like you're struggling to do all of the things day and night long with no significant, noticeable changes to your milk supply? So enough of all the background info. We're now just going to get into the real reason why all of that feeding and pumping around the clock, eating all the lactation cookies in the world, taking lactation medications and everything else you've been trying while breastfeeding to breastfeed successfully just isn't working. So the real reason behind why all of these things that mums usually try and then find don't work is actually caused by underlying nutrient depletion issues. So when we go through pregnancy and childbirth, there really is just such a lot of stress and trauma that the body goes through, which draws heavily on a mother's nutrient store. And then you only need to have had a difficult pregnancy or a difficult birth or stress and worry afterwards in any way, even if it's stress and worry about breastfeeding, or all the other millions of things that we go through after actually having our babies, that it's really easy to see how nutrient depletion really is the root cause that becomes a vicious cycle really quickly that can affect many things. So we call this the spiral of nutrient depletion. So you start out, you go through pregnancy, it causes major upheavals in the nervous system, which can then in turn affect delicate hormone balances. It can then wreak havoc on those hormones, causing hormone imbalances. And then the first thing that often suffers the most once we have gone through all of those nervous system upheavals is that our digestive system is compromised. So yeah, and this happens, and then you can go down what we call the spiral of nutrient depletion, can spiral downwards very fast in a new mother. So it becomes, your health then becomes very much in an out of control state. And your body can't actually go and do the healing that it needs to do for all of its major systems, that due to this nutrient depletion, and it just ends up, you just end up getting in a worse and worse state. And that's where I often see mothers who, and I was one of those myself, where my health just declined really rapidly, and I would start to have symptom on top of symptom on top of symptom, and I no longer knew what exactly was the cause of it all anymore. But the cause of it absolutely is underlying nutrient depletion issues. So once that has happened, and you find yourself in this place of nutrient depletion, what then happens is that mums find that extra feeding and pumping just doesn't help. So no amount of extra feeding and pumping can help if your body's already in that nutrient depleted state where it isn't receiving and it can't absorb the essential nutrients that you need to heal after pregnancy and childbirth and to create breast milk successfully. So because your nervous system has just gone through so much, and like I just showed quickly before, it ultimately affects your digestive system. Your digestive system, you could be eating all the right things in all the right way, but it can't absorb the nutrients you need to be able to heal and to be able to produce milk. So you will also find that simply just stocking up on lactation cookies and eating all the lactation cookies, even if they're the healthiest, most nutrient dense ones in the world, they're not going to have the full effect that they could have on a mother's body if she's in a nutrient depleted state where you can't absorb those milk boosting ingredients. So once, and then you've only got to be choosing the wrong types of those ingredients too, that can be full of sugar and unhealthy ingredients, and that's going to send you down the spiral of nutrient depletion even faster as well, which is why within the Yummy Mummy Food Company, I just won't budge on the health aspect side of those products. So it's vitally important that those particular products are still nutrient dense and 100% healthy. But despite that, if your body is in a nutrient depleted state, it just won't be able to uptake those good nutrients at all. Resorting to top-up feeds will give your baby what it needs, but it's not going to help you to overcome your underlying nutrient depletion issues within your body. So there's a reason why the World Health Organization recommends breastfeeding for at least 6 months. And it's so that both you and your baby receive all the many health benefits that breastfeeding provides. So that's just something to keep in mind too. So now that we've looked at all the things that underlying nutrient depletion issues can affect when it comes to trying to breastfeed, we're going to now look a little bit deeper into all the actual reasons why and how it affects all these usual suggestions to increase milk supply. So this is the real nitty-gritty reason why some of the suggestions that you're given from lactation consultants and other professionals, they can sometimes seem to work really well for some mums, but for some, they just either don't work at all or they just work a little. So this is the real reason you're here watching this masterclass. This is what you're needing to know right now, is why these things don't always work for you. So basically, no matter how perfect a pregnancy or birth you might have had, both of those things draw so heavily on a mother's body reserves that she will always begin new motherhood in a nutrient depleted state. So you think about pregnancy and childbirth, like they are major upheavals in your nervous system, in your hormonal system, and in your ultimately your digestive system, which means that if you're not healed deeply via postpartum nutritional healing foods during your postpartum period, this can cause that spiral of nutrient depletion to occur really quickly. And why? Oh, I've just gone past a slide. Hang on. Let me just go back. Sorry. So once you're in a nutrient depleted state, I get the theory where people tell you to feed more, to pump more, because it's supply and demand, and you can only, your body will produce what your baby needs if you're doing it enough. I totally get that theory, but no amount of extra feeding and pumping is going to help you if your body is in a nutrient depleted state and you're not receiving and you can't absorb the essential nutrients that you need to heal after pregnancy and childbirth and to create milk successfully. So once again, those people like myself and like you probably are, where you're feeding and pumping around the clock and it's just not making much of a difference, that's why. Also eating, it might be that you're eating all the lactation cookies or drinking all the lactation tea and it's not working. So again, what often happens is a mum will try these lactation support foods and drinks, and they'll find that they have very little response, and that's same sort of thing. So if they're in a state of nutrient depletion to start with, your body just can't absorb those milk boosting ingredients and the milk boosting nutrients that it needs from those special foods. The other reason too that's really important to look out for in this regard too is the actual ingredients in the lactation products that you buy. So many lactation support products are quite unhealthy, sugar-laden products that have just had brewer's yeast added to them. And then they call them a lactation support product. But really, a true lactation support product needs to be one where every single ingredient serves a milk boosting purpose, and that they need to be 100% healthy and nutrient dense, and made from ingredients that support postpartum health and healing. So these ingredients can also then help a mum overcome that underlying nutrient depletion and not add to it like the unhealthy lactation support products do. So lactation support products have become a very popular niche within the baby industry in recent years. And if I just urge mothers to take a really good look at the nutritional panels and around the ingredients list of those products. I see products out there that have Cadbury chocolate in them as a main ingredient. I see lactation drinks where icing sugar is the main ingredient, and those ingredients are just not what your postpartum body is needing to heal right now, and it's going to make things worse. So that's something I feel really strongly about sharing with mothers, is the importance of looking at the ingredients yourself. Don't believe the marketing that's put around those products. Actually look at the ingredients yourself, look at the percentage of sugar, look at all of those things. If you need help around learning to read nutritional panels, that's definitely something that I can help you with too. So just always reply to the email, let me know, and I can pop you through information about that as well. The other reason that things like prescribed medications too don't often work as well is that these drugs are not actually specifically designed to help breastfeeding mothers. Their main purpose are to help other symptoms like nausea and vomiting or gastric reflux. And it just happens to be that a side effect of these medications is that in some women, they can help boost milk supply. So just like in the case of lactation foods and beverages, it's likely a similar scenario that if a mother's in a state of nutrient depletion and can't absorb things properly, then she's also going to be unable to absorb those medications properly too. And that's likely the reason why they work for some people but not for others as well. And like we have already touched on briefly too, topping up with formula is not the long-term option you want for your breastfeeding journey. So, the World Health Organization recommends breastfeeding for at least 6 months so that you and your baby receive all the health benefits that breast milk provides. But not only that, like we do know all the benefits of breastfeeding these days. That's we're educated about that everywhere. But it's also a really good point that it's easier and it's just less expensive long term as well. So really, it's another reason why we want to heal your underlying nutrient depletion issues so that your body works more as it should, and and is able to be working at its peak so that you can pass on all those vital nutrients to your baby and not have to rely on topping up with formula, which, like I said, in my case, with my baby, came with its own set of issues. So, it's a matter of finding the right one. We had to try every type of formula that was out there on the shelf. We even tried prescription formulas when we discovered that he had a milk protein allergy. They were worse. He wouldn't touch any of them. I had this starving, distraught baby. And in the end, it was like the very last type of formula I tried. It was a goat's milk formula that happened to agree with him the best. And once we worked that out, things moved forward for us. But it was a really long, drawn out process of probably around 6 months of trying to just find the right formula. So, topping up with formula is not always the easiest or the best long-term solution if you've got, really relevant and, breastfeeding goals that you want to achieve. So I think by now you should be starting to see how underlying nutrient depletion is the root cause behind why most milk boosting breastfeeding strategies that mums are given to try just doesn't seem to work, or that they don't work very well for some mums. Then the question I know that you'll be wanting to know now is, though, how do I step off that round the clock, exhausting low milk supply merry-go-round? And that really is how it used to feel to me too, that I was just on this ride going around and around, but the only option was to step off and resort to full-time formula feeding. Now that I've learned everything that I have in my certification to become a postpartum nutrition professional, I've completed a lot of research over the past 12 years, alongside that too, to develop my Yummy Mummy food company products the way that I have. And I've just learnt so much about postpartum nutrition and those underlying nutrient depletion issues that mums suffer from, that I feel it's just really important to talk to you a bit about some of the things that we don't treat a mum suffering from this in the right way that will actually help her milk supply. So basically, we often think, if I just eat enough calories, my milk supply will increase. But this is only half the answer. So what's really vital is that those calories consist entirely of nutrient-dense ingredients and that are prepared in ways that comply with universally accepted postpartum nutrition protocols. We also, like I've mentioned already, the only way to increase milk supply is by that supply and demand theory of pumping and feeding around the clock. So while that theory, I admit is a solid one, and I get the theory and it's supported by lactation consultants, it is only successful if a mother's body is not in a state of nutrient depletion. Her body is being deeply nourished via postpartum nutrition protocols to overcome those nutrient depletion issues. And it's only successful if you're actually absorbing the vital nutrients via postpartum nutrition protocols. So the other thing that we often think is that brewer's yeast will just increase milk supply. So I'll just make or buy lactation cookies that contain brewer's yeast. And this is something I'm really passionate about, because while brewer's yeast is one of the most well-known milk boosting ingredients, it's not the only one, nor is it necessarily the best one or the most effective for breastfeeding mothers. So new mums and babies have delicate digestive systems. You're already at risk of candida and thrush issues. And so all forms of yeast and highly refined sugars too should also be avoided during this period of time. So lactation support foods and beverages should not rely on just one or two milk boosting ingredients like brewer's yeast, but they should be filled entirely with a range of nutrient dense ones. So any milk boosting ingredients will only be best absorbed by the mother if she's not, again, in a state of nutrient depletion. But the brewer's yeast thing is something that I'm really passionate about. I've never used brewer's yeast in any of the Yummy Mummy Food Company products at all, because I've seen firsthand from a lot of mothers the sorts of drama that yeast issues and candida issues can cause, not only just mums but bubs as well. And once you start to suffer those sorts of issues, it's very, very difficult to get over those. So it's just so much better to avoid all forms of yeast, any highly refined sugars as well, during this point in time. So the other thing that I hear from a lot of mums, and that I do totally get this too, is that they just don't have time or energy to cook special meals or to go on a special diet. And this is where I've learnt, where what I've learnt is different to just, I guess, all those sorts of breastfeeding shakes and breastfeeding this and breastfeeding that that's out there. So, and this is why I'm really passionate about sharing what I've learned to be able to put together the Make More Milk Method program. So the Make More Milk Method program is based on a postpartum nutrition plan. So that's the crux of the program. So it's not a diet. It's a postpartum nutrition specialist developed way of eating, is how I like to think of it, that's based on extensive research into past and present postpartum nutrition and care practices. So basically the postpartum nutrition plan, it's been compiled into an easy to read and understand physical book and an ebook that goes through some core concepts like what we've just gone through in this masterclass. It also contains weekly meal plans and shopping lists, and it has freezer friendly and prepare in advance recipes that all are formulated with simple ingredients, but also so that they're family friendly. So your whole family can enjoy the nutritional benefits of eating in this way too. But you as a breastfeeding mum and as a postpartum mum are going to receive the healing benefits from those particular recipes as well. Just go past a bit quickly. So I know there has been a lot of information so far, so I'll just do a bit of a review of the core concepts. So in a review, the missing link that I discovered that's been helping tens of thousands of mums struggling to breastfeed is that we actually need to address the underlying nutrient depletion issues for mothers through a specially formulated postpartum nutrition plan that helps healing at the deep level, which is what mothers need so that they can then absorb the nutrients from particular nutrient-dense foods that are also prepared in specific ways to help healing and nutrient absorption too. Just to quickly recap, how I also discovered this underlying root cause that's often behind these breastfeeding issues for a lot of mothers was quite a process. So, I talk about my own really poor postpartum health and breastfeeding experience, which was back in 2010. It was in 2012, a couple of years later, when I was well past my journey of breastfeeding, I started the Yummy Mummy Food Company with its 100% natural and allergy-friendly, nutrient-dense lactation products. And like I said, it took me a lot of trial and erroring to come to the point where I really felt that I needed to study to become a certified postpartum nutrition professional, to find out some of those missing links that were out there that had mums having differing reactions to different products. So I put in a lot of time and effort and money to study to become a postpartum nutrition professional. And in 2022 was when I began to work with mums one-on-one around these underlying nutrient depletion issues and addressing those, which is the root cause of low milk supply. And then in 2023, I was actually so busy helping mums one-on-one that I couldn't keep up. So there's a huge need out there for this type of help amongst new mothers. So I created what is now the Make More Milk Method program to help more mums to address those underlying nutrient depletion issues in the best way. So that's why you're watching this masterclass, is because I now have this Make More Milk Method program that I can offer to thousands of mums at a time, and draw on that whole 12 years of past experience that I've had to get me where I am today. So again, just to recap on what I've discovered that you actually need to do to address those underlying nutrient depletion issues and to improve your milk supply, is you need to firstly, you need to address those underlying nutrient depletion issues. But to be able to do that, you need to have an easy to understand step-by-step plan with simple meals, recipes, and shopping lists. You also need to have a bit of an understanding yourself too of the key postpartum healing and nutrition principles that are common throughout history and many cultures, and be shown how to implement those into our current way of life without adding further stress or overwhelm to your body, because your body just doesn't need any extra stress or overwhelm. You need access to a professional trained specifically in postpartum nutrition so that you can ask questions along the way and get that one-on-one support still quickly and easily. And you also want to have sort of accountability, I guess, within a modern version of what traditionally used to be that motherhood village of support, that's made up of other women and other mothers all learning and sharing and nurturing and helping one another through this delicate and crucial time of life. So that's something that I think has been missing in our culture for quite a while. Other cultures do it a lot better than what we do here in Australia. Here in Australia, we go to a few classes before we have our baby. We have our baby. We are shunted out of hospital pretty quickly, usually, within a couple of days. And that's if you're lucky. We're just often not nurtured and supported and educated around how to care for ourselves and the impact that that can have on our postpartum healing and on our breastfeeding journey. So in a nutshell, that's really why, that was my big why I created the Make More Milk method. So I wanted the experiences of my own and through owning the Yummy Mummy Food Company, to kind of bridge that huge gap that existed around educating mothers around postpartum nutrition and care. It also, like I said, became really apparent once I started working one-on-one with mums that they really needed support and guidance to implement these postpartum protocols and ways of eating, to be able to ask a new mother who's already overwhelmed to take on board some new recipes and a new way of eating and to try and learn some information it is overwhelming and your brain's already at capacity. But it's important. So I wanted to find an easy way that I could support mums, and guide them easily through that process. Also, our busy modern lifestyles have just meant that the motherhood village of support that was traditionally used to support women has now become quite lost. And we do need to bring this back in a modern form using technology. Technology is great in lots of ways, and it allows us to share and educate and support one another. So that was my big why, the big whys behind why I created the Make More Milk method. But you showed up today because you wanted to see an improvement in your milk supply. You're exhausted from trying all the things that are supposed to help, but they haven't yet made a difference. And those things are feeding and pumping around the clock and eating all the lactation products and drinking all the lactation teas, trying all the prescribed medications, and then still, doing that round the clock feeding regime, but still needing to top up with formula afterwards. So I had promised you that by the end of this training, I'd show you how to stop that exhausting round the clock regime, of trying to satisfy your growing and hungry baby so that you could see improvements in your milk supply and the quality of that supply to improve your overall physical, mental, and emotional health. You want to be able to feed your baby with more ease and confidence. And you also want to have that important factor of having the vitality to thrive as a mother as well. So here's the thing I want you to remember is everything I've shared with you today just isn't some random theory or some idea that I think might work for you. Everything I've walked you through today works. So it's worked for my customers and it's worked for my clients that I've worked with in the program and also before that as one-on-ones. And they've all started from that same place where you are right now, that same, feeling of not being enough for your baby, not being able to satisfy, be able to your body just is letting you and your baby down. So, you know, everybody's felt like that to start with. But, you know, like, and just know that feeling you have around those things, it's not special. You know, we all have busy mum lives. We all have not enough time to cook and look after ourselves properly. You know, and yet these mums have been able to move on from that. So they've learned what they've needed to learn. They've taken on board recipes. They've been able to do it. And I'm confident that if they can do it, then you can too. You already know that, you know, you can have an abundant, it is possible to have an abundance of milk and better health as well, as long as you have somebody guiding you and accountability and a plan to follow. So if you have those things, then you're already halfway there, is what I've found in my experience. So I know there's been lots of information to take in, but you really do you're at this point where you have a choice. You can either continue to do all the breastfeeding things that you're doing, hoping that something just starts to work magically, even though it hasn't yet. Or you can choose a much simpler path and use all the learnings from within the Make More Milk method that I've developed that comes with a proven system and accountability so that you can hit your breastfeeding goals more successfully. So the choice is really yours. Throughout the webinar, you've heard me mention the Make More Milk method. This is how I can help you to achieve those breastfeeding goals. So I'd like to just take a few minutes, if that's all right with you, to describe what the Make More Milk method is in more detail and how I might be able to help you specifically. So my job is really to give you the right information so that you can achieve increases in milk supply without all the struggle. So once I've gone through this, I do have some Q&As, which are the common things people have often asked me on live versions of this masterclass. So we will hopefully address any of your usual questions in there. So here's how I can help you. So I help breastfeeding mums through the Make More Milk Method program, which is a 12-week program. It takes you through the exact steps needed to overcome nutrient depletion, which is a common underlying cause of milk supply, like we've already discussed in detail. So as part of that program, you'll receive sorry, tongue-tied. You'll receive nutritional nurturing strategies for not only overcoming low milk supply, but to also say goodbye to brain fog, exhaustion, poor sleep, a whole range of things. There's benefits more than just around breastfeeding, so that you can be the best version of your mum self that you can be for your child and for your family and just for your whole community as a whole. So throughout the 12 weeks within the Make More Milk Method program, you'll receive support from me to implement that 12-week postpartum nutrition plan, which is the backbone of the program. This helps you to learn how to deeply nourish your body in the ways that are specific to what it's needing during the postpartum period of time, to allow your body to heal and recover as well, which then ultimately usually improves milk supply as well, because your body's just functioning at how it's supposed to in the postpartum period. So I do this via what I call a modern motherhood village of support and accountability, where you receive weekly personalised coaching and support from me within a closed private client Facebook group that's only for mothers who've been through the program in the past or who are currently going through it. This support group has become a really great supportive online mothers group in its own right. So it has the added benefit, though, of being led by a postpartum nutrition professional, and you can call on me for whatever you're needing to help answer your questions or provide you with support 24/7 within that group. And I can provide you with specific personalised support too. So it's very different to just purchasing an online course and just working through things and working it out for yourself. So I really enjoy coaching new mothers through this process, and there's never a silly question, or we work through things together. I love all the different questions that I get within that group. There's often some other research that goes on behind the scenes for people's unique situations. Some people have other underlying health conditions that they need to consider at the same time, so that's the type of one-on-one support that I can help you with there within that group. Or it can be simply around not feeling overwhelmed around needing to cook recipes, and finding easy ways to do things like that. So there's lots of things that we talk about in that group, and it's a really supportive space. I will just go through on the next few slides, so exactly what you receive in the program in more detail as well. So like I have just mentioned, you receive the weekly live coaching sessions. And you can choose to attend those either live at the time that they're on, or you can submit any questions beforehand and then I can answer them when I'm live in the group. And then you can catch up with those videos later at a time that suits you. So I know it's just about next to impossible to get people to a 10 o'clock on a Thursday. So I record things and then I put them up in the group so you can watch them at night or whenever it suits you. Whenever you've got 10 minutes of downtime, you can catch up with things. And like I said, it's a safe and supportive environment that lets me help a lot of mums all at once in the best way possible. So also as part of the Make More Milk Method program, once you sign up for the program, you'll receive instant access to 12 weeks worth of audio learning lessons and action tasks that will help you get started straight away. So I decided to make these easy to listen to audio files rather than video files, so that you can listen to them in the car or on your phone while you're taking your bub out for a walk even, however you need to fit it into your day. It's not hard to fit in a 10-minute audio file that will then give you what you need to work through for the next upcoming week. So the information that you work through each week, it's really not onerous or difficult. It's just all around giving you the education and the tools you need to move through the 12 weeks of the postpartum nutrition plan that sits behind this whole program. And that's what will ultimately help you improve your postpartum health, and then ultimately help you improve your milk supply along the way as well. Part of what you'll receive when you're able to instantly also access the website when you sign up is that you're able to download an e-copy of the full postpartum nutrition plan straight away. So you'll also receive a hard copy of this book, which really is a comprehensive meal plan, complete with there's more than 25 gluten and dairy-free recipes and snack ideas, all formulated by postpartum nutrition experts. They're all formulated in a way, though, too, that your entire family can enjoy and benefit from those meals as well. And, like no new mum has time to be preparing separate meals for herself and then for her family as well. So that's something that's really important to me. If I have to cook separately for myself, I'm not going to. It just won't happen. So these recipes are all ones that are easy to make. The recipes are easy to follow. They also contain weekly shopping lists, so you can just grab that shopping list. If you just bought everything on those lists, you will have everything you need to make that week's worth of recipes. There's also freezer meal instructions on all the recipes that are freezer friendly, and it will even go as far as telling you, like, when there is a recipe that sometimes is repeated in later weeks, it will tell you to double that recipe now, put half of that away in the freezer, and then that makes it easier down the track. When you have that meal again, you can just simply remove it from the freezer and defrost it and heat it up. So it does help you to batch cook. It helps you to create a freezer stash of meals going forward, so that the 12 weeks actually of cooking and creating those recipes does get easier throughout the 12 weeks as you're able to dip into your freezer stash. Also, a big part of the program is that you'll also receive a huge parcel of Yummy Mummy Food Company products in the post, along with your hard copy of your nutrition plan. So this is a bundle of products that has every product, sometimes multiple products from across our entire range of lactation teas, lactation hot chocolates, other lactation lattes, as well as our Boost Bicky lactation cookies and Boost Bliss balls, which are like really great little one-handed lactation snacks too. So the reason I do this is because when I used to work with mums one-on-one in the nutrition plan, we found that by also including 2 or 3 serves a day of the Yummy Mummy lactation products worked really well together. So while the nutrition plan recipes help mums to heal their underlying nutrient depletion issues, it just meant that the 100% healthy, nutrient-dense milk boosting drinks and snacks then also started to help boost a mum's milk supply at the same time. So the two really worked hand in hand together really nicely. It just made complete sense to me to include this bundle of goodies to every mum within the Make More Milk Method program. And just so you get an idea, like when I worked out how many serves a mum would need across 12 weeks, it works out to more than 300 serves across our I think I've got 14 or so products at the moment. So it's a really big bundle of products that you receive. And it also means that you can try out the whole range and you can keep things interesting and changing up what you're having each day too, because nothing grows old faster than eating or drinking that same tasting thing or that same drink just over and over again every day. Whereas you've got enough products in this bundle to be able to switch things up and keep things interesting. And finally, the Make More Milk method isn't just limited to 12 weeks. So I totally get that no two people are ever 100% the same. And sometimes I have mums who see results faster than others, and that's okay. And that's completely normal. It just all goes back to what we spoke about earlier, and it just depends on how severe a mum's underlying nutrient depletion issue is. These mums that are often in a really severe state will just need a bit more time to give their digestive systems the healing they need. So I give everyone in this program lifetime access to the support within the Motherhood Village Facebook group. So even if, months later you start to feel your health starts to go backwards and decline a little bit, or you've been sick and you're really run down and you just can't kind of pick yourself up again, that's the perfect time to be pulling out that nutrition plan again and starting to implement some of those recipes and the principles behind it all to help your body heal at any time throughout your motherhood journey. It's not just limited to postpartum healing and breastfeeding. So in my house, anybody comes down sick, and some of those soup and broth recipes from the meal plan are what comes out in my house first and foremost. So it's knowledge you can use for a lifetime. And like I said, you can draw on that support within that Facebook group too for lifetime, for as long as you want to stay in there and ask questions or learn from everybody else in there. That's absolutely fine. I really strongly believe that we need to be healthy throughout all the seasons of motherhood, not just in the new motherhood stage. And that's why I really want to offer that kind of lifetime motherhood support around that. When we do, it's a learned skill, being able to learn how to care for our own health and our family's health long term as well. And when you think about this, there's nothing that's more important than our family's health and our own health. And it's not until you realize you're in a state where you're lacking that health that you really realize how important it is. So I don't want to see mums, revert backwards or start to struggle, a year down the track even, or they've had something stressful happen and it's set them back. So I'm happy to support throughout the lifetime of your motherhood journey with you. So after all that, probably the question most people want to know is, what does the Make More Milk method cost? So if I'm going to look at that, I thought I'd put some values next to each component. So having access to me for the weekly coaching support calls just for the 12 weeks of the program, let alone for the lifetime access, is valued at least $1,297. It's $497 for the audio files that you can listen to, the audio modules that happen over the 12 weeks, which are what guide you through that program and help you to see success and be able to continue through it. The actual meal plan itself, the book and the meal plan itself, is actually valued at $597. So, you know, I could just sell that to mums as is, but I felt that if you're already a mum that's overwhelmed, you need this support around that meal plan so that it makes you implement it and helps to guide you through that particular process over the 12 weeks. So that's usually valued at $597. And then 12 weeks supply of the Yummy Mummy Food Company products is valued at $660. And then, like I say, you get lifetime access to the Make More Milk Method content in the website, as well as via the Motherhood Village support group. And that sort of support is pretty, you know, it's very difficult to put a price on. So it's priceless. And, you know, you can access that as much as you need to. That's the value of the actual components of the program. However, so all of those together would usually add up to about $3,000. However, I've got a masterclass special where it's $995 if you were to pay in full right now. Or I also have a payment plan option for $89.95 a week over the 12 weeks. The payment plan is a really popular option with mums. It's a really simple process to get started with. And then that money is just direct debited out of your account every week, and and at the end of the 12 weeks, it's paid and it's done. So just before I talk about how to click and pay one of those options, there is sometimes a time when it's best to talk about if the program is not for you. So this program really is not for you if you're not willing to embrace a way of eating that's more sympathetic to this delicate postpartum period of time. If you're looking for quick fix, unhealthy, short-term milk boosting options that don't actually address and overcome the underlying root cause of low milk supply, then you know this program just won't be for you. So I just like to say that up front. However, this program is for you if you're struggling with low milk supply, even after you've exhausted all the usual avenues of support and you've tried all the things and all the techniques to increase it. It's also for you if you're committed to wanting long-term change in your overall health and well-being. It's a program that can help you to do that. So it's also a program where it's for you if you're interested in learning about these core principles and techniques of postpartum nutrition so that you can take control of your own health. Definitely is a program for you then. A large portion of the program is me educating you on everything that I've learnt so that you can know better and do better. And it's also for you if you're a coachable sort of person and you're willing to ask for support and accountability. And I know as a new mother, that's actually a really hard thing to do, is to ask somebody for help and to ask for the support and accountability. But I also want to change that through this program. I want you to feel you can come to me and ask those questions at any time. So that's if you feel that you are, you fit those criteria, and you're interested in doing the Make More Milk Method program, then I will just go through on the last slides what you need to do to be able to link and pay for that program. So if all of those things, if you've answered yes to all of those things and you sound like it feels like this is the program that is the missing link for you, then you can simply visit this website link. It's pages.makemoremilkmethod.com.au/enrollment. And you can sign up to join the program and obtain that instant access to the entire program and get started straight away. I know that this system works. So, I've shown you throughout this masterclass the examples of some of my clients who've had success, and that there's a reason why they've been able to achieve their milk supply improvements that they have. So, and it was because my clients, these mums, were committed to their goals. And I want success so bad for my clients because, like I said, I've been there, I've struggled through low milk supply, I didn't have a great breastfeeding experience, and I don't ever want another mum to have to go through what I did. So like I said, I'm very passionate about this area. We can work together, we can keep you on track, we can address any concerns you might have along the way. I pretty much will do anything to help you succeed. If you're somebody that wants to improve your milk supply and you're ready to commit to a 12-week program, then this really is a unique and a supportive program that will support you throughout that process and help you to get there. If you're somebody that wants the support and accountability so that you can just stop and sidestep all of those exhausting things that you've been trying that haven't been working, then definitely this is the program for you. So please visit that website and sign up, and then you can, like I said, get started straight away. You'll receive an email straight away. This is quite a different program or to a lot of those online courses that are around. So the Make More Milk method is different because you're not just given a login and left to your own devices for 12 weeks. So we very much do this program together and alongside that supportive environment that's the Motherhood Village support group. And like I said, I will be working with you along the way to help you with everything that you need to support around support so that you can improve your health and your milk supply so that you can achieve your breastfeeding goals, whatever they might be. So even if you've tried, all of the things, so you tried feeding and pumping around the clock and eating all those lactation cookies and taking all the prescribed meds, if it hasn't worked and you don't feel you have time to learn, one more single thing around how to cook a specific type of meal or to have the energy to even cook, like know that this program can work for you. It works because it's based on well-researched postpartum nutrition plan and information that includes so many different ways to make it simple to implement so that it's not overwhelming. And like I said, so it includes that support and accountability. So you don't just pay once and then never speak to a real live person like a lot of those courses tend to do. So you do have access to me for as long as you need to be able to see success. There's also aspects of a postpartum nutrition plan that only an expert can help you with because there's just so many other factors involved that traditional programs or courses just don't seem to cover, like adjusting for allergies and intolerances, or to give you strategies that help alongside the nutrition plan that can also then further help all that deep healing that you're needing to do post childbirth. So, we don't just exist in a silo. So there's so many factors that come into play during the postpartum period that only an expert can help you to navigate. And this also helps to build what is your motherhood village of support. And that's, like we've already discussed, is really lacking in a lot of our culture, and our lives are just busy. So we lack it because of the busyness of our lives. So, please head to that link that's there on the screen. That will also be in the email that you have received to watch this masterclass. So you'll find that link in there. You can simply just click that. It's a very simple enrollment process. It takes a minute. And then, like I said, you will instantly receive access to what you need to get started. Yeah, so you don't feel you have to try and figure this all out on your own. This is why I have put together the Make More Milk Method program so that you don't have to feel alone or overwhelmed in it all. And I can also, help you to guide you through so that you do see success. And that's why I have such a high success rate from a lot of mums who go through this program. Like I said, it's not a one thing fits all kind of program. I'm there to help you with your specific postpartum nutrition needs and your breastfeeding needs. I did just say too that we do have some frequently asked questions. which often come up as part of these masterclasses. So I thought I will just quickly go through those two, just in case any of these questions are ones that you have as well. People often say, look, I'm finding it so hard to find the time to cook anything at the moment at all. Will I be able to do the postpartum nutrition plan? And to that question, I always say yes, absolutely. The recipes are very simple on purpose. Everything is quite batch friendly, freezer friendly, and it can teach you ways to do that as well. So yeah, you'll find that it's often you're not slaving over a kitchen stove for hours. They're very simple recipes. They're often slow cooker or Instapot type recipes that you can pop on and then just enjoy later. And like I said, freeze and have in the freezer as well. So yeah, so not feeling like you've got the time to cook anything shouldn't be a problem in this program. And like I said, you'll be able to cook for your whole family as well, and they'll see the health benefits as well as that. People often say, look, I barely have time for me right now, and I'm not willing to make separate meals for myself or family. Should I join the program? And I have already touched on that. I say absolutely yes, because these recipes and the program is for healthy eating for the entire family. And like I said earlier, if I had to cook separate meals to my family, that just wouldn't happen in my house. So I'm big on that. I like to find ways to make things kid friendly all the time as well. So, if that's something that you struggle with, you've got other picky eaters in your house, we can, tweak recipes and work through those kinds of things to find a way so that it's beneficial to you all. So, yep, definitely, join the program, knowing that you don't have to be making separate special things for yourself and the rest of your family separately. Sometimes mums tell me, look, and I get this too, I've already spent so much money on appointments to try and improve my milk supply. Why is this any different? And the difference between this program and any other appointment you've ever been to so far is that, like, the other health professionals have different focuses that aren't postpartum nutrition or breastfeeding nutrition focused. So they are just as important. Like seeing a lactation consultant can be really important because they can address lots of the physical, mechanical kind of issues around breastfeeding, like latch and things like that. So, they are really important appointments, but you won't get breastfeeding nutritional and postpartum nutritional advice and help in the same specific way as what you will as part of this program. So I do work alongside and really closely with a lot of lactation consultants and other health professionals, and that's because what we offer is quite different, and the two really do work hand in hand. The other thing that I often hear from mums is that they've been told that their baby might have some sort of allergy. So it might be dairy or it might be soy, and that they need to cut those out of their diets. Should they still do the program? And if this is you and this is the case, or if it's allergies that you have yourself as well, I say absolutely yes. The program is completely gluten, dairy-free, soy-free, free from all of the major allergens. If you have a specific, or you or your baby have a specific allergen that isn't one of the top 5, absolutely I can work with you to work out variations on all of those recipes so that we can come up with the program and the nutrition plan that suits your needs. So that's because I've had a baby with allergies and I've been an allergy sufferer myself my whole life, basically. I understand that firsthand. So yeah, that's where this program can really shine, because it caters to all of those allergies that are out there, unfortunately, and they do have a really big impact on people's health. So that's why we cut out dairy and soy and a lot of those allergens out of the program and out of the Yummy Mummy Food Company products as well, because we just feel that nobody needs to be suffering those kinds of intolerances and things. It's not a nice place to live your life, that's for sure. The other thing that I sometimes do still hear from mums too is that they're still seeing their lactation consultant or their GP or their midwife regularly. So is it worth doing the program too? And again, like with the question around you've already spent money on appointments and other things, I say yes, absolutely, it's worth doing this program too, because the focus of this program is something that you just won't get from seeing your midwife or your GP or your lactation consultant. It's quite specific. And it's specific targeted help around breastfeeding and postpartum nutrition.
So well done, everybody. I know that that was lots of info to take on and take on board. And for some of you, this might be information that you've not heard anywhere else before. And that's because there's actually very few postpartum nutrition professionals here in Australia. I work really closely with a lot of midwives and lactation consultants, but their focus is very different to mine, which is why I work in conjunction with them. My focus is very much around the postpartum and breastfeeding nutrition side of things. But that all ties in and works hand in hand with all the other different approaches of the other health professionals that you've probably already seen. This working with mums around breastfeeding nutrition and postpartum nutrition is something that's often missing within our modern culture. And it's what actually empowers mothers to take control of their own health. So thank you very much for taking the time today to sit through all of those slides and all of that information. I know it's a lot. As I've said before already, my mission and my purpose in this life and on this planet is to save other mums from having that completely devastating experience, devastating breastfeeding experience like I had myself. I just want to give you simpler ways to achieve and improve your milk supply, as well as addressing your own overall health and well-being too, because as a mother, you need to be functioning at your best, and nothing is more important than your own health and well-being as well. And we're often just not told that enough. So I know I was certainly not told that enough. So if you've already clicked the link to enroll in the Make More Milk Method program, then you will receive an email telling you how to start working through the program straight away, and I look forward to being able to support you throughout the next 12 weeks and beyond. If you're still sitting on the fence though, and you've got some other questions about what you've just heard today, or you wanted to chat more in person about your particular circumstances, because I do understand that everybody can be a little bit different and everybody's nutritional needs are a little bit different, please just head to my public Make More Milk breastfeeding support group on the link that will be in the email that was sent to you to be able to watch this presentation. We can then make a time to chat more one-on-one, and that's absolutely fine. That's a free service that I offer to breastfeeding mums. If you do just want to have a chat through any concerns, if there's anything in particular that you have that my questions on the previous slides haven't answered for you. Either way, I'm sure we'll talk soon, and I really do look forward to it. So thank you for patiently listening and taking on board with an open mind everything that's been in this masterclass today. And I hope it's helped you in even some small way. I'm sure it has. I wish somebody had told me all of these things back 14 years ago when I was in a real place of struggle around breastfeeding. So I look forward to helping you in some way soon. Thank you.